Finally, we get to see the real Rockstar Spud. Yes. Alright guys, Delzinski here, and it's time for another TNA Impact Wrestling review. And this time around, we're looking at TNA Impact from the 2nd of March 2016. And first and foremost, before we get into the action of this week's Impact, I need to get something off my chest because I was sitting there watching this week's Impact and I thought, oh blimey, this is the Impact from Wembley. I see Kurt Angle come out. I see Bobby Roode. I'm thinking, I was there. I was there live. Amazing. I'm watching it as it unfolds. And later on in the evening, I see Rockstar Spud come out and address the aftermath of what went down at Lockdown. I'm thinking, hold the phone. I did not see that. And I started to question what I actually saw. Did I pass out? Did I drink too much beer? But then Josh Matthews makes it abundantly clear that this episode of Impact is from Birmingham. And I think, wait, did I go to the Birmingham show? No. I went to the Wembley show. So what on earth is happening? Well, what is happening is that TNA, oh my God, they put together 2 shows into one to make one episode of Impact. Now, why would you do that? You recorded half of an Impact at Birmingham, half of an Impact at Wembley. It makes no sense why you would do that. Why wouldn't you just record the whole show for an episode of Impact at Wembley Arena and record the whole show of an episode of Impact at Birmingham? That would make utter sense instead of what you've done, because what you've done here is something that I really dislike, is you've chopped and changed, edited and cut, and also dubbed so much that you've taken away all the authenticity of the show itself. Now, we pay money to go to these Impact shows, so we want to feel, the atmosphere that we had when we saw it. And when I went to Wembley, it was electric. It was great. And I'm sure Birmingham was the same. But when I watched this back, because there was so much editing, and the fact that the 2 arenas don't even look the same, it's just goddamn ridiculous. So, really frustrating to see that they would do such a thing. But, it takes the element away of being a fan. You go to these shows to enjoy it. And yes, I know that TNA like to chop up their shows because they record a lot at a time. But you can get away with it if you're in Orlando, in the Impact Zone, because the arena never changes. But when you've got these big arenas like Birmingham and Wembley, you can't get away with that. And it's 2 different crowds, and both crowds were loud. And then you've kind of, you've taken that away from the fans. The fans went there to chant and cheer, but you've chopped and changed so that fans, that core base audience that you want to appeal to, then basically are muted because of your dubbing, cutting, and editing. Why do that? In fact, just don't do that. If you're going to record multiple shows, record one in one arena and one in another arena. Simple as that. Anyway, that was my bugbear. If you noticed this as well, let me know by the comment section below. I had people tweeting me saying that this was frustrating, that they saw this as well. And I think I have to agree. Very disappointing, TNA. If you're going to make a show, just record the whole thing in one arena. You could do that easily enough. It's not rocket science. So come on, deliver to the fans. Otherwise, you watch it back and you think to yourself, what? I don't remember this. And that's how I felt. Anyway, let's get on to the action that we saw this week on Impact, because it all surrounded Rockstar Spud turning on EC3. Yes, we saw that at Lockdown. He turned his back on Ethan Carter. He was the only man left that really EC3 thought was on his side, but obviously not. And again, it's perfect storytelling. It makes absolute sense for Rockstar Spud to stab EC3 in the back, because if you've been treated the way Rockstar Spud was over the time when he was friends with EC3, and if you cast your mind back, and Rockstar Spud did this, and that was good storytelling for him to mention this, was a year ago, he was laying bloodied and battered in the middle of the ring in the UK and had his head shaved by Ethan Carter. If you had had that happen to you, would you ever forget that? No. And that was the perfect thing to have, that perfect move from Rockstar Spud to wait, bide his time until the moment was right. And when the moment was right to cost EC3 was at Lockdown, when EC3 wanted to grab that belt back. And Rockstar Spud snatched it away from him and aligned himself with Matt Hardy. And this isn't your standard Rockstar Spud, which is the best bit about it. This is the real Rockstar Spud. And what I mean by that is that no more Dickie bow ties, no more little lost puppy, lackey for Dixie Carter, you know, Madam Dixie. No more running around following people. Yes, he's aligned himself with Matt Hardy, but it feels like Matt Hardy is just almost like, you know, the iconic Matt Hardy is almost like a hype machine to get Rockstar Spud agitated. And it feels like there's more anger and, you know, more sort of aggression from Rockstar Spud now. And that is all good, because I felt that his character, with him being, the underdog, had got a bit stale. So to see this change in Rockstar Spud is fantastic. And once again, it reiterates the point that EC3 has lost it all and Matt Hardy has gained it all, and how the tables have turned, because EC3 had everything. He had basically the whole stable that Matt Hardy has now was all around EC3 a little while ago, but EC3 mistreated everybody that he aligned himself with. Tyrus, Rockstar Spud, and now he's left with nothing. And now he's got to chase it back. And that's what's cool, because building onto this, we had an unsanctioned match between Spud and EC3. It's getting personal. And I would have liked this to have been a match at a pay-per-view, but I guess they want to kind of push this along a little bit quicker. So they had this unsanctioned match on Impact. As I said, I think this could have worked better if it had been at more of a minor pay-per-view, but TNA's pay-per-view structure is up the spout at the moment, so I'll give them a little bit of a break on that. But you know, the unsanctioned match was what all came to a head with the fact that Dixie Carter said, you know, I can't sanction a match between Spud and EC3 because I don't know what's going to go down, because Ethan Carter is out of control in terms of he's an ass kicking machine, and Matt Hardy doesn't want to wrestle him at the moment. He says he's had his shots, he's done with him, and Spud kind of makes out he want to get his hands on him, but I don't really think he wants anything of EC3 in the mood that Carter's in at the moment. So Dixie, you know, said, well, I'm not going to sanction it, so I'm going to make this an unsanctioned match. And, you know, that's ideal for EC3. And obviously I'm thinking to myself, well, Rockstar Spud is going to get killed in this main event. But they did it nicely. They planned it out well. Again, well thought out, this main event. The fact that on the way to the ring, Rockstar Spud looks very smug indeed, because Matt Hardy's come up with a plan. They were to jack EC3 from behind. Tyrus and Matt Hardy tried to do that, but Matt Hardy was outsmarted once again by EC3. He locked him in a truck along with Tyrus and then came out to the ring. And you should have seen the look on Rockstar Spud's face. It was a picture. He knew that their plan had failed. And then it really was an ass kicking for Rockstar Spud. He was choked out. And what I'm finding pretty cool about EC3, he's not your standard babyface. He doesn't just pander to the fans. The reason why people are behind EC3 is because he is an ass-kicking machine. He is determined to get back the gold. He is determined to right the wrongs that he's, you know, carried out on people in the past. And people that have turned their back on EC3, he wants to get retribution on. And that's why you become a fan of EC3. It's not portrayed that he is just, you know, a squeaky clean baby face. Because if he was that, I don't think anyone would be a fan of him. He hasn't really changed his persona that much. It's just the fact that Matt Hardy has been a genius when it's become working as a heel. So, phenomenal work by TNA this week. I loved the final moments of the unsanctioned match, with Spud going for the table, being choked out as well. You know, having people restrain EC3. It just shows the aggression and the passion that he wants to get back his title. All good from the main event picture from TNA. I cannot praise it enough at the moment. It feels so good, and I just wish that a lot more eyes would get on the product, and they would get on the product if they didn't have all these whole, you know, issues with the fact that they chop together Impact tapings and stuff like that. If they just had live shows and they were churning out content like this each week, I think TNA would well and truly be back in the game. Now, moving on, away from the world title picture, we saw Kurt Angle's farewell tour continue. This week he took on Bobby Roode. It was the ankle lock versus the crossface for the majority of this match, and it was the ankle lock that succeeded. Angle making Roode tap. And next week, the final match in the farewell tour, Angle versus Lashley. And we all know how good that match can be. And the best bit about this farewell tour is the fact that Angle can lose matches. We saw him lose against Drew Galloway. So could he lose to Lashley and that be the way he bows out? Or will he beat Lashley? Because he beat Lashley last time round to gain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So I'm interested because I just don't know at the moment what's going to happen. But the whole match between Rude and Angle, again, could have been a pay-per-view match, but it was on Impact. Fine, because the fact that we got the farewell tour, but it builds to bigger things. It builds to Angle versus Lashley. Again, pay-per-view match probably, but we won't go on about that too much. But it built to a few other things because Angle got a bit of a toast off to say, thank you for all the support over the years from Beer Money. Yes, James Storm came out to greet Bobby Roode as they were shaking hands, him and Kurt Angle. And they brought out a few beers, but Angle obviously was like, no. So they gave him the milk. It was kind of awesome. It had that whole, old school feel about it. That was good. But the important part here was Angle saying, one match that I want to see, because he's going up against Lashley next week, but one match that he wants to see is Beer Money versus the Wolves. And planting that seed, that's something I've been waiting for quite some time. And finally, we will get to see the Wolves versus Beer Money. Again, TNA must be smart here. Book it at pay-per-views. Don't give it away on Impact. But you could really do well with Beer Money versus the Wolves. Best of 3 series, all that kind of stuff. Build your tag team division around it. Kurt Angle's endorsed it. It's there for the taking if TNA can market it right. And looking at the world title picture, they've got a good chance of doing this well as well. So let's see how that plans out. Moving on, I want to talk about Gail Kim because for once I felt like, wow, this is so refreshing. Gail Kim is not feuding with the Dollhouse because she came out and called out Maria, and Maria came out to her, her fairy tale music. Yeah, I would say TNA, if she's going to cut the whole promo and then Gail Kim's going to intervene in the promo, turn that music off. Again, I felt this was dubbed a bit. I felt they dubbed her promo with music. Don't do that because Maria's cutting her promo and then it goes to Gail Kim. That music's still playing in the background. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a miracle. It didn't feel like magical. It needed to be turned off to make it more heated between the two because Maria was doing a great job of talking herself up, although she doesn't want to wrestle. And I really like that. The fact that she says she's above being a wrestler. And that's all you are, Gail Kim, is just a wrestler. I'm more than that. And it's like she doesn't want to get in the ring and get her hands dirty, but she's quite happy to belittle Gail Kim as much as she can. And when Gail Kim decides she's going to get her hands on the crazy bitch that is Maria, I'm thinking, this is good. This is new. They spoil it. Yes, the Dollhouse intervenes once again. We see Jade come out, and how many more times do we have to see it? The Dollhouse and Gail Kim. Now it's Jade who's going to be picking up the feud, and the Maria thing was teased, but they're not going to go forward with that. It looks like Jade's going to get the shot at Gail Kim, and I'm just so done to death with the Dollhouse. Since Taryn Terrell left and Awesome Kong went, this group is just rubbish. It basically feels like that's the division. Gail Kim and the Dollhouse scattered around the beautiful people here, there. It's just, nah. So I was really excited about this segment to start with, but when I noticed that it was going to be Gail Kim and Jade, it just put me off once again. They need to change it up. They need to be more refreshing, and Maria and Kim could be the start, but Jade being there, going backwards once more. So let's talk about a few other bits that went down on this week's Impact to close this week's Impact review. And a couple of things that I noticed. We had some British talent involved on this week's Impact. We had Jimmy Havoc and we had Big Damo of IC Dub. Now, it was really good to see these guys, but one thing I would note is they're there and then they're gone. So that's kind of irritating because they're there for Impact in the UK, but they'll be gone when Impact goes back to the States. I'd kind of like if they do take on UK talent, maybe sign them up for 6 months and see how it works out. Yes, I know that probably money-wise TNA might not have the ability to do that, but why not try it if they can? Because, otherwise it just leaves storylines fragmented. Like they build Jimmy Havoc to have this sort of relationship with Rosemary, and that'll be gone soon. So what was the point of it? And I really enjoyed the Abyss Jimmy Havoc match, but I've just seen so much stuff that's like a Monsters Ball. It doesn't feel unique anymore. Like, it was good to see the cheese grater to the bollocks of Abyss. God damn it, he deserved that because his gimmick is shite at the moment. But the whole Decay. I really like Crazy Steve. I like Rosemary, but Abyss is just atrocious. He can barely move, for God's sake. He needs to be repackaged and relooked, and needs to get in better shape as well. I'd like to see Joseph Park come back at this rate with this version of Abyss. It's horrendous. But Jimmy Havoc did a good job. He went through tables. He got extreme. That was cool to see. But once again, felt like having this on Impact just devalues the whole tables and the big spots with like the cheese grate and stuff, because I want to see that on pay-per-view matches. I don't want to see that every week on Impact. And it feels like at the moment that they just keep on churning out these sort of Monsters Ball-like matches anytime the Decay is around. In regards to Big Damo, he had a fantastic debut on Impact. I mean, he looked like an X Division guy. He was flying around all over the place, and he definitely set a light, I thought, on the night, because I just thought it was very entertaining, him versus EY. The only problem, again, is I probably won't see Big Damo again on Impact TV. So you build him up, you made him look really good on the night, and then you're going to take him away from us. That's annoying. I need to see more from these guys. These guys are good. They're good talent, and they bolster your roster. You need more people on your roster, and you wouldn't have to pay extortionate money for these guys, so why not grab them? That's what I think. Sign more UK talent, for goodness sake. Go for it, TNA. But yeah, I thought Big Damo and Jimmy Havoc done a good job whilst their time on TNA. I'd just like to see a bit more of them. Now, last, but by no means not least, we had Galloway versus Bennett, and I don't want to touch on this for too much. I like the feud, and if TNA do it right, like they've done with the main event, this will be good as well. It's good to see Bennett getting involved in an active feud, but I don't feel there's much of a miracle about him anymore. He hasn't really won that many matches, anything notable. He's now gone into a feud with Galloway. He got away with it by the skin of his teeth with Maria helping him out. What's the miracle? I find something's lacking with Mike Bennett. Behind the scenes, when he does a promo, he's great. In the ring, he's not too bad. But the entrance, the music sounds good. Maria with him. But then there's something there that just makes me disconnect from him. I'm not sure what it is. Is it his attire? He doesn't have that flamboyantness that I expected him to have when I first saw him come out with the hat and the jacket and everything like that. Now he's just standard wrestler. Something missing. Can you guys point your finger or put your finger on it? Let me know via the comment section below. Nevertheless, good match between Bennett and Galloway. Fudgy finish, allowing Bennett to continue his undefeated streak. Now, that kind of brings me to the close of TNA Impact. I just want to say, guys, if you do catch Impact on the American side of things, do you keep hearing them promote on Pop TV Schitt's Creek? What is Schitt's Creek? Because every time Josh Matthews says this show, the Pope sounds really awkward, like, whoa, what did you just call me? It just sounds stupid. I can't believe Pop TV are asking TNA to promote such a ridiculously named show. Schitt's Creek. Yeah, let me know what that is if you know what it is, because I don't, because I'm from the UK. But I've watched TNA online because I don't find Challenge's whole portrayal of TNA that great either. So, yeah, let me know by the comment section below what you thought of this week's TNA Impact. And I guess all that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. TNA, keep up the good work with your main event stuff. It's going well. This is Delzinski signing. Oh, this week, Delzinski approved. Nearly forgot. Signing out.